Hello. So I just had the funniest thing happen, right? So I am, it's my day of like chopping and food prep, right? I was lucky enough to go to the grocery store yesterday. I went early in the morning, so there weren't a lot of people there, and bought a bunch of veggies and a bunch of other stuff. So this morning was my kind of like chopping and organizing morning. So one of the things I had done earlier this week was I had soaked some chickpeas. I love hummus. And so I was making hummus. And I put a bunch of chickpeas in the food processor, blah, 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 and spinny spin. And then as it was finishing up, I was thinking about what I was going to put it in. And in my head, this came into my head. I need to grab a Cool Whip container. Cool Whip container. So, Cool Whip, right? Weird substance, supposed to be whipped cream, I guess. Growing up, right, my parents and my family, I guess we had Cool Whip containers around, right? We were kids. I'm sure like my parents put Cool Whip on stuff, right? I remember eating Cool Whip as a kid, and we must have saved those, as most people do, right? You save plastic stuff. So we must have saved Cool Whip containers and used those to store stuff. I am going to be 50 years old this year. I haven't had a Cool Whip container in my life for decades, right? Like decades. I don't have children. I don't have Cool Whip around. That's not a thing. This morning, need to grab a Cool Whip container came into my head. Fascinating. So that got me thinking about a conversation that I was having with a friend yesterday about this time that we're all in and how what we are going through is new and different, and we don't know how to make sense of it. We don't know what comes next. We don't know where this is all going to turn. We don't know, right? I mean, what we don't know far exceeds what we know it feels like. And so, do we revert back to things that used to give us comfort? Do we revert back to ways we used to react to things that used to feel foundational, when the things that we now in our recent past have relied on are gone? So for some reason, my brain today went back to Cool Whip. And the truth is, while I do have plastic in my life, I also tend to, in my home, have just a lot of glass jars. I tend to use glass jars. I save old jars, and with the screw-on caps, and I wash them out, and I use them and use them and use them again. And I try to reduce plastic overall, right? That's just the life that I live. And so I try to, when I can, buy in bulk and then store in jars, right? Whether it's rice or beans or whatever. So it got me thinking about that, about those two things, about the passing of vessels for storage, and I mean kind of emotional storage, thinking storage, right? The places where we have put our feelings as past ones, right? Things that used to work for us that maybe don't work anymore. But then also for me, the transition to more solid places to put those things. So that got me thinking about how I'm living right now, today, literally today. And how in the recent past, right? So in the past 12 months or so, I took a look and said, what were my Cool Whip containers? Where did I kind of put my anxieties or put my thoughts and dreams or that were kind of flimsy? And, things for me like eating too much, running errands, right? I have to run out, I have to pick something up at the store, I have to do this thing, I have to write these kind of fleeting distractions. Get out of my house, go do this thing, go to this stuff. I traveled quite a bit for work. So airports and airplanes and making travel arrangements and all of those things that now are gone. I don't do those things. I haven't been on a plane in months. I haven't seen the inside of a hotel in months. I don't have that anymore. I can't just run to the store, right? I can't just drop by and see a friend. So what's left in my cabinet? What are my glass jars? And I think about my family. I'm lucky enough to still have my parents, and I talk to my mother every week, if not more than once a week. That's a glass jar for me. right? My partner, glass jar. My sister, my family, my closest friends. I mean, I still have friends from when we were kids. Hi, Mare. Right? I'm lucky enough to have relationships that are glass. They are solid for me. I have a halfway decent brain in my head. And I'm curious about life. I think a lot about things. And so I have that. I have my curiosity, my wonder. That's a glass jar for me. Nature is a glass jar for me. The sun comes up, the wind blows, the birds sing, the squirrels run, right? All of those things, they're still there. They still hold me. They still help me. They're still my containers. So I guess my thought right now is to invite you to think about your own life. What containers have you relied on in the past that maybe aren't there anymore? There isn't a Cool Whip container in your cabinet anymore. And what have you replaced that with? And is that a solid vessel for you? And be curious about it, right? Not judgy. No judgy. There's no judgy. You can have one jar, you can have 7,627 jars. None of it is right or wrong. But just being open to thinking about what has fallen away, what has just fallen off the radar. I didn't consciously stop buying Cool Whip, right? That wasn't a thing. Those things just fell away from me. And these other things got added in. So taking a look at your life and saying kind of what are my solid containers? What do I have in my life that feels solid? And I think if you're coming up short, open to that. Be curious about that. Because the simple fact that you breathe in and out, that your heart beats, that the sun comes up, those are glass containers. So you have some. So just be curious about which ones you currently have, which ones you're currently reaching for, and kind of putting stuff in. What are those places that you're going to? But also be curious about the ones that have fallen away and kind of let them go. And it makes me just wonder, right? Like why Cool Whip popped into my head today, right? Why Cool, like of all the things in the world that would pop into my head today, why the Cool Whip container? And it just makes me curious to think that, right, there must be something about the way that I'm feeling or this life that I'm living that like is hearkening back to like times long ago, which is just curious as well. So wrap your hands around a jar today. Just wrap your hands around it and say, this is a jar for me. This is solid. I have this, and it will serve me today. Take care of yourself. Be safe out there. Be smart. If you're re-entering the world, be smart about it. Don't forget to wash your hands. Don't touch your face, right? Keep distant, wear a mask, all of those things. Be safe. However you choose to enter the day today, be safe. Open up your cabinet. See what's in there. All right. See you soon. Bye.